Nobody tells you this, but if you actually start changing your life, you're going to feel like you're leaving people behind. Not because you think you're better than them, but because you're just not the same person anymore. I've been thinking about this a lot lately because I'm in that weird stage where I'm trying to become a different version of myself. And it's honestly uncomfortable. Like, I'm not the new me yet, but I also don't want to really fit into the old routines anymore. And the hardest part is that it's not even the work, it's the social part. It's the feeling that some people only like you as long as you stay predictable. Like, as long as you stay the same version they're used to, everything's fine. But the moment you start taking yourself seriously, things get weird. In high school, I had the same group of friends every day: Marcus, Dylan, Chris, and Evan. Same lunch table, same jokes, the same weekend plans, the usual. And I really liked them. This isn't one of those I was always too good for them stories. But after graduation, something slowly started happening. Life stopped being a movie. You graduate and you realize nobody is coming to set up your future for you. No guidance counselor, no bell schedule, and no teacher reminding you every day is just you and what you choose to do. And I started caring about different things, not even in a dramatic way, just little changes. I started working out consistently. I started thinking about money differently. I started wanting skills that actually stacked up over time. And whenever I did hang out with my old friends, it started feeling like we were stuck. Same complaints, same life, same we should do this conversation, the same cycle. I remember driving home one night thinking, I love them, but I do not want this to be my life anymore. That was the first time I realized you can care about people and still outgrow the way you live together. At first, I tried to bring them with me. I text a group chat like, yo, gym Saturday morning, 10 o'clock. And everybody would respond with the same version of yeah. Marcus would say bet. Dylan would say I'm down. Chris hits me with the classic for sure. But Saturday comes and nobody shows up. I'm not saying that to be dramatic. I'm saying it because it's so normal. People love the idea of growth, but they do not love the inconvenience of it. So I try again next week. Same thing. Then I'm like, okay, maybe the gym isn't their thing. So I switch it up and I'm like, yo, who wants to learn something together? Like a skill, music, editing, something, and it just turns into jokes. Evan says, bro, you want to be some kind of productivity YouTuber? And again, it wasn't even hateful. It was just the vibe of why are you doing all that? And if you've been through this, you know that feeling. You start to talk about the goals and you can see people literally start mentally checking out. Or you can see them get uncomfortable. And the weird part is, you didn't say anything about them, but your growth makes them feel judged anyway. That's one of the most annoying parts of leveling up. You're just trying to do better, and somehow people see that as a statement about them. Like you working harder as you silently calling them lazy, even though you never said that. But I think it's because the progress forces people to look at their choices. It forces them to fill the gap between what they say they want and what they actually do. People think getting better is just work harder. And honestly, the work is pretty straightforward. The hard part is that you stop matching the default. And once you stop matching the default, you notice how much of life is built around staying the same. Because the default is just sleeping in, scrolling, complaining, and repeating. And then you start noticing little things. You don't want to stay out late doing nothing. You don't want to spend money just to look cool. You don't want to complain about life every day. And you do not want to keep repeating the same week forever. And suddenly, it's like you're the weird one. Not because you're doing something crazy, just because you're not doing what everyone else is doing. And that's the social cost. Not everyone is going to clap when you start making different choices. Some people act like you're doing too much when you're literally just doing what you said you do. This is where a lot of people fold. By the way, not because they can't handle the gym or the studying or the work, they fold because they can't handle feeling differently. They can't handle the awkwardness. They can't handle being the person who says no or leaves early or doesn't want to waste time or doesn't laugh at the same stuff anymore. And it makes complete sense because humans are social. We want to belong. We want the group. But there's always a price for choosing belonging over growth. And that price is eventually you wake up and you don't recognize your life. You're still friends with everyone, you're still liked, you're still invited, but you're not proud. And that's a weird trade. In college, I met this guy named Ray. Ray wasn't loud about self-improvement. He wasn't trying to be an influencer. He just had a calm, consistent way of living. He'd go to class, work, train, study, repeat. And one day I'm joking around like, bro, how do you even stay motivated doing all that? And Ray goes super casually, I don't rely on motivation. I rely on standards. I rely on me. That line stuck with me because it's so true. Motivation is random. Standards are rules. Like, this is what I do. This is what I don't do. End of story. If you have standards, you don't spend your whole life negotiating with yourself. You don't wake up and debate, should I do it? You just do it. And I realized a lot of my old lifestyle was basically negotiation. I wake up and I'd be like, I should work out, and I'd be like, I don't feel like it. I should study, and then I'd be like, it can wait. I should save money, but I want to go out. And you can keep doing that for years. You keep pushing everything to later, and then later shows up at your doorstep. So if you want to become someone different, it's not about doing one big thing. It's about doing a bunch of small things consistently until it becomes normal for you. Going to the gym even when it's boring, studying even when you don't feel like it, or building a skill even when nobody cares. Saying no to stuff that wastes your time and keeping promises to yourself. Because becoming different is mostly just keeping your word to yourself. And I think that's the part that people mess up. People will keep promises to other people. They'll show up to work. They'll show up for their friends. They'll show up when they have to. But when it comes to promises to themselves, they break them constantly. And every time you break a promise to yourself, you teach yourself, my word doesn't mean anything. So if you want confidence, discipline, self-respect, start with one promise a day that you actually keep, even something small, like a 20-minute talk, like reading 10 pages, like practicing a skill for 15 minutes, because you're not just building habits, you're building an identity. You're teaching yourself, when I say something, I'm going to do it. Now here's the part nobody warns you about. There's this phase when you're kind of alone because you're not fully in your own world anymore, but you haven't found your new people yet, so you're just in between. And in that phase, it's super tempting to go back. Not because you want to, but because it's comfortable. Because at least you don't feel weird. At least you don't feel like you're trying. And if you're in that phase right now, listen, the loneliness isn't proof you're doing it wrong. It's proof you're transitioning. And the transition phase is where your life actually changes. Because you're proving to yourself you can move without needing everybody to approve it. There's also where your relationships start shifting. Because when you stop being available for everything, people notice. When you stop wasting time, people notice. When you start saying no, people notice. And sometimes they'll even tease you. Sometimes they'll act like you're acting different, like it's a bad thing. But honestly, you are acting different. You're supposed to. That's the point. And I want to be clear, because people take this too far sometimes. Outgrowing people doesn't mean you hate them. It doesn't mean you have to post some cut off negative energy speech. You can still love Chris and repeat Marcus. You just can't keep living the same way if you want a different future. And that's not disrespect. That's just reality. Sometimes you don't need to end friendships. You just need to stop letting them choose your lifestyle. You don't have to be rude. You don't have to be dramatic. And you don't have to be consistent. You have to be the kind of person who does what they say they're going to do, even if others don't get it. Because here's what's actually cool about changing. Eventually, you start meeting people who make your new life feel normal. People who don't make jokes when you say you're going to the gym. People who don't act weird when you start working on something. People who are like, yeah, that makes sense. And that's when you realize you didn't lose people. You grew into a life that needs different habits and sometimes different circles. And I know that can sound sad, but it's kind of freeing. Because it's not about abandoning anyone. It's about taking yourself seriously. It's about building a life you're proud of. It's about not waking up one day and realizing you stayed small just to stay familiar. So if you feel like you're becoming someone different, that's not a problem. That's the point. And if it feels uncomfortable, if it feels lonely, if it feels like you don't fit, good. Because you're not supposed to fit into a life you've outgrown. Keep going. The version of you this year is going to be grateful you didn't shrink yourself just to stay familiar. And the scariest thing isn't people talking about you or making jokes about you. The scariest thing is waking up at 25, 30, 35 and realizing you had the chance to become more and you just didn't take it. So be different, even if it's awkward for a while, even if it's quiet for a while, even if you feel like you're moving alone, because you're not losing yourself, you're building yourself.